This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada, here on August the 20th, 2025. And I got a beautiful Toronto background behind me because tomorrow night I leave for Toronto for Fan Expo for a few days, so that will be fun. But in the meantime, it's always nice because nobody knows where New Brunswick is. So it's always nice to have somebody on here from New Brunswick so I can hear people say, "Where's that place?" Anyway, folks, I've known this person, I think, since 2006, I think.
It would have been 2008.
It was it
I, I
2008?
I moved back to Fredericton at the very end of like January 2008, and like I came back for Christmas and then I moved back. So I was in Vancouver in 2006 recording a CD, which
Okay.
you know about. So yeah, we've known each other since 2008, which is still an incredibly long time, 17
2008.
years.
Wow. Wow. Well, folks, I knew her when she had her CD out with a song called Eden on it, among other things. And I know her as Bronwyn, but she is an author and she goes by Bea Waters. And folks, I'm happy to have her back on the show with me today. How do you do, Bea?
I'm good. And in terms of like the pen name, the reason for not publishing under my name, my legal name, Bronwyn, is because I'm actually going to be publishing nonfiction under the legal name Bronwyn. If you went into a store and you picked up a Stephen King book and you got home and it wasn't horror, it was nonfiction, you'd be like, what the heck is this? So I have to separate my fiction from my nonfiction with different names. And that's the reason. I'm not trying to hide. I'm just,
That's actually kind of cool. Like I
yeah.
go by the name DJ named Python, but I'm fine with people calling me Greg. I'm totally fine with that. But but yeah, it's great to have you on here. And I guess you got I have a pretty good memory, but I guess in terms of how long we knew each other, you know better than me. I remember when we met though. I do remember that. So that is pretty awesome. And of course, you were in the one of the last, if not the last, Corey Haim film as well. So
Yeah, he actually appeared in a film after that, but was never able to complete it.
mhm.
So yeah, it was called at the time it was called American Sunset. They've renamed it to The Hostage Game. But yeah, it's actually, I was in the art department and I had one day on camera as an actor and actually became pretty good friends with Corey over that time. And it really broke my heart when the flu killed him. He died from the flu. Like
Oh
that's
wow.
yeah, he had organ failure from the flu. There was lots of rumors going around at the time, but it was just the flu.
Well, Tommy Kovac from Splat from the past, who I know, I connected him with you. He's been encouraging me to get Corey's sister on the show here in tribute to him. I haven't done it yet because, well, I mostly sleep and work. Like I've had few in. You're my 40th interview this year, which is low for me, but I'm not complaining. It's just, uh,
That's still
gotta,
5 per month. We're in the 8th month. So that's still 5 per month, which is more than one a week. So, I mean,
mhm.
compared to other podcasters, you're slaying it and you're like workaholic. So, I mean, I got mad respect for how hard of a worker you are. Mad respect.
I think it was 2022. I did 170 interviews. That's my record, you
Wow, I
know.
almost just did a spit take.
Yeah, but yeah, there's a lot of people, a lot of regulars I have back on every year, and I have a lot of new guests on, and of course I'm going to uh, have a few days where I'm going to try to do two conventions this fall. Well, this one here and one this fall. Um, if financially it's viable that I can do it, I think I can. But and I keep my bills and stuff paid up and stuff like that. It's a struggle with today's financial climate the way it is, but it I often put it this way. I'm not going to take vacation time to hang out in my apartment. I want to go and enjoy, So, and I do like doing these conventions. They are pricey, but I kind of dig it, and especially when you're meeting people that you've seen in these movies growing up or whatnot, or I can get them on my show or something like that. That's pretty darn cool. So I like that experience. I love Toronto. And one of the things I yearn for with Toronto is that I could just hop on the subway and go wherever I need to go. It's I get a car right now, but it's like, if I didn't have a car, then you got to wait for the bus. And the bus here doesn't come as frequently as they do in Toronto. Toronto, it's like every 2 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, when I lived in Vancouver, I lived right near Main Street and the bus came by, I think it was every 6 minutes. And so, like, I didn't have any problem missing the bus because the bus was always there. You had to time for like the C bus because I used to work in North Vancouver and I lived in
Mhm.
Vancouver. So I had to take the C bus across. And I had to time which bus I was going to arrive because the C bus only went every 25 minutes, I think. So that was my only bottleneck. But yeah, I loved big city transit, and I agree with you. The transit system here, it's good for the size of city that we have because Fredericton's only like 75,000, 80,000 people. So it's really, and it's a capital city of a province. And the joke that I like to make is that we like to think we're big city and we really, really aren't.
I'm
So
trying
they
my
want like all
best.
these big city
Yeah.
amenities. They want to build a deep dive pool and they want to use tax dollars to do it. And it's like you don't have enough people to tax to do crap like that, but they try anyway.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull back from being as critical as New Brunswick. I know I've been very harsh towards it, but I'm trying to pull back on that. But I'll tell you, there's something about getting off that plane and getting up to the surface there in Toronto and just seeing all the billboards and the neon and whatever place you get off on the subway, it's like a you remember those choose your own adventure books? It's like that, And I love the theater scene, um, where like they had a theater there called Imagine Cinemas, and they had movies, classic movies on for $5. My mom thought I was going to pitch a tent up there because I was there almost every night. I would, you know, $5 movies, and I had a blast. And they had a cinema on Dundas, a Cineplex. Never saw this before. I mean, I went and saw the 10-year anniversary of It Follows. I'd never seen it before. So I went, "Oh, okay, I'll go see it at the Dundas Cineplex." And I was like, oh, Theater 14. Okay, cool. We have a 10 screener here. This one's 14 screen. No, it's 24 screen.
Wow.
I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool, I was to a VIP theater where they bring your order into you.
Wow.
Yeah, you and actress Lisa Langwa and I have um she's one of my contacts. I won't be able to see her this time going down there because she's not around, but but nonetheless, there's theaters there where you can they'll serve you wine,
Yeah.
It's like it's like really, really cool, and so I love the theater scene there. And so yeah, I love try I hear a lot of people complain about it, and I guess with stuff I'm seeing on the news that I won't get into in detail, I kind of see why, but it's getting bad everywhere, so it doesn't matter, but
See, with
I
me, I'm a huge fan of New Brunswick because we still have so many trees and so much nature. And it sounds to me like from listening to you that you kind of like that concrete jungle, neon, like everything going on and all that energy. And me, I like the calm energy of the planet. So the fact that I can drive 15 minutes outside town and hit the Tay River and sit in a river that's like, just water bubbling up out of the earth and flowing down over my shoulders. Like, I prefer that kind of environment, even though I don't
Yeah.
like the horseflies that come along with it. But the rest of nature, I'm good with. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
the
don't.
horse flies are,
No, you always got to wear a hat when you're going out, so then they
yeah,
buzz around the hat instead of buzzing around your head.
yeah. I do like the neon and the stuff of the big city. Like there's videos I take in Toronto where I'm just narrating and I do it because I can see the stuff going behind me and all that, you know. Um I absolutely love it. So but you know what? I've heard the complaints, about concrete. I see that argument. I see that argument. But like I said, I'm trying to hold back
Yeah.
because well, I've been nasty to this province because it's like I've had my complaints and people gotten pissed off at me, but I gotta look on the bright side. I got a roof over my head. I'm able to pay my bills. I got a couple jobs. I may not be living in Toronto like I wanted to, but I can still visit. Maybe eventually I'll get moved there. If not, you know what? I'm not homeless. Skittles is happy, and my brother's nearby, and my younger brother. And yeah, so
The thing is, like, I lived in Vancouver for 3.5 years.
mhm.
And when I first got there, it was really cool. But then I was living there. And so it was just normal. So maybe the benefit for you is that you're not living in Toronto. So when you go there, it's exciting. The shine might wear off if you were living there all the time. You'd get to do the stuff that you want to do, but it wouldn't be exciting anymore like it is when you're going and taking that trip. So maybe that's the benefit of you living in New Brunswick, is that you get to go somewhere and have that excitement as opposed to living there and the excitement waning off over time. Just a thought.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've got a friend of mine that lives in Toronto, and he said, "Craig, don't move here."
See? It's all,
And
grass is always greener on the other side of the fence,
well,
or the
he's
neon's
lived.
always brighter on the other side of the border. But stay in New
Well,
Brunswick.
Lisa tells me I should move there, but my friend in Scarborough, who's got a YouTube channel, goes by the name Creepy Ghoul, and he says it's not the city it once was, and he said, don't move here." Um, so I don't know. I'm one of these people. I don't want to leap from one branch to another unless I know the branch I'm leaving to can sustain me,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Like it's gonna be a heavy bill for me, the hotel I'm staying at this when I go to Fan Expo. But it's right there where the convention center is. I just have to go downstairs and I'm right there amongst it. And I got VIP and my badge is activated. So, so I'm close to everything. But I remember when I did Chiller in New Jersey, the Chiller convention, I spent like 3K and I
Wow.
I got that down to nothing. So I try to pay little by little, but I'm going to try to sustain that better here with this one so that I'll have money to do one in October. So um I think I can. I think I can. And I've never been late paying my rent. So I've always kept my responsibilities up and I don't eat many big meals anyway. So anyway, but let's talk about you because I see that project human painting there behind you. I think that is so cool. It's almost like a figure eight thing with her going behind her there. I like that. You painted that?
No, oh, no, this was painted by Jim Middleton. This
Okay.
painting right here
Okay.
that became the book cover, and it wraps around the back. So the whole purpose of this, what you say, the figure eight,
Yeah.
is that this is a scene from the book, and she's dancing in a field, and the earth responds to the energy that she's creating, and it sends up a beacon into outer space that attracts the spaceship. But the reason that this energy looks the way it is because I wanted it to look like DNA, because she has very special DNA, and that's what allows her to call the aliens down. So that's like really an important part of the story. So everything that went into this book cover was purposefully done with the story in mind, including like on the back here, there's a bicycle laying in the cornfield, and the bad guy finds that bicycle and gets her DNA from that bicycle. So everything in this is very, very, very purposeful. And it was done by Jim Middleton, and he's an amazing artist. And he's actually currently working on the cover art for book 2, Atlantis Rising, which will be coming out in 2025. Don't have an exact date because there's still a lot of moving parts getting the, it's currently in the beta reading phase. So I have beta readers looking at it. Mm-hmm. And then if there are massive edits that need doing, then that takes time. If I've gotten it right, which I hope I have, and there's no major changes, then there might be like a few things to tighten up, and then it'll go to the proofreader. And I haven't gotten a schedule back from the proofreader. My proofreader might be really busy, and she might have like 3 books ahead of mine, or she might be working on her own book and not available. So there's still a few moving parts, but I really want to get this book released. My happy place would be kind of mid to end of October, in time for Christmas, and also in time for some of the events that I'm going to be doing coming up here. It's great if I'm selling book 1, but it's so much better if I can show people at least like the cover art for book 2. Mm-hmm. So that's all in progress.
Well, I'm really proud that you're like you've got you're juggling a lot of hats here, because like you got the music, like I've got your CD. It's in that box over there. It's like people are like, who listens to CDs anymore? Well, I've still got CDs, but I've got yours. And and of course you've been in some movies. So that's really cool. Like you juggle a lot of hats.
Right now, it's kind of more. I'm really, really focused on the writing. I originally
like that.
Yeah. Like I think when I was doing the CD, it came more of like I started playing violin when I was 4 years old. So music was like a really important part of me expressing myself, and I wrote songs. And so the point of doing the CD was because I had written these songs and I had something to say. And now I'm like writing books. I got something to say. So, and I'm also working on some nonfiction. The one that I'm really kind of most proud of right now, I'm working on a nonfiction book called The Meaning of Life as Explained by Quantum Physics and Other Revelations for a Prosperous Millennium, because I can explain the meaning of life using quantum physics, and I haven't seen.
What about the meaning of life as explained through Monty Python?
Actually, what I'm trying, the meaning of life, Monty Python, The Meaning of Life, that's a great movie. I love how they made everything funny, because laughter is so good for you. And to be able to poke fun at the most, like, oh, it's only a flesh wound. I think that was like Life of Brian, but
no, that was the Holy Grail.
Oh, okay. See, I've watched too many of them.
Oh man, I love them. I love them. Yeah.
But for me, like this book about quantum physics, the way I'm seeing the world is there's a big divide. There's science, and people are like, science explains what's real. And then there's like spirituality. I don't want to call it religion, because I think religion has taken spirituality and twisted it for the means of control. But spirituality, mysticism, that explains life in one way, and then science explains life in another way. And to me, they're both correct in certain, like depending on which mysticism, which tenets you're talking about, but they're both correct, and just looking at it from a different point of view. So to give you an analogy, if I were to ask Jim, what color is light? And he says red, he's correct. And if I were to ask John, what color is light? And he says green, he's also correct. And the truth is that when you combine all the different bands of light into one, you get white. So science is red, mysticism is green, but the truth is white. The truth is a blending of all of this. So that's what I'm trying to do in that book, is to use quantum physics to explain the way certain things work, and then mysticism explains it this, and here's like the reality of where these things meet, that both sides are actually right. And just looking at, like, if I only look at one side of a coin, I only see the head. If I only look at the other side of the coin, I only see the blue nose. I'm talking about the dime. So, but there's two sides, and the whole coin, nobody seems to be really looking at the whole coin. And I want us to look at the whole coin.
Mm-hmm. Well, that makes sense.
So
I
that one will be
st-
published under my name, Bronwyn Mosier, as opposed
Mhm.
to my pen name, Bea Waters, because it's meant to be nonfiction. So I don't want someone who's been reading my science fiction to pick up that book and be like, what is this? No.
Well, I think that you got a creative mind, and I'm glad that you're getting their second book underway and in the process of that. I was trying to remember. I remember you mentioned this before, how many books you were planning to do in this series.
13.
13. Okay.
So the pitch for the series is
Mhm.
13 alien species are fighting to control planet Earth because humans are their science project. And
Okay.
each book is going to be a deep dive into a different alien species, so that we can see their culture and kind of see how it connects to a culture on Earth. So in the first book, this is a picture, a hand-drawn picture that I did of the jinn. That's what the
You
jinn.
did that?
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
like it.
Thank you. So I'm gonna do more pictures, like drawings of my aliens, and make stickers, because people love stickers.
Well,
And
I
if you're
like it how it
creating,
goes swirly up on the top there, how you did
oh
that.
yeah, that's actually described in the book, that the jinn, for their hair looks like the frosting swirl on the top of a cupcake.
Yeah. No, I like that. That's very creative. You did that, huh?
Yeah.
That is awesome.
I
That
was
is
going to
awesome.
be doing a seminar on world building at the AAAAC Comic Convention in St. John at the end of September, and I just found
Mhm.
out, like, it's just been canceled. It's going to be done next year, but they had to cancel the event for reasons. So it's a shame, because I was really excited to talk about world building, because for me, when you're building a brand new world, you have to start with one main principle, and everything else flows out from there. So for the jinn, they are telepathic. So what does that mean? If you're telepathic, like if humans were telepathic, there would be no ability to lie. Everybody would know everybody else's feelings on stuff. We would be able to understand each other much better. And over the centuries of being telepathic, we would all come to a common consensus, and we would all believe and think the same way. It would create a homogeneity of thought. And so the jinn are hive mind. Because they communicate telepathically, they all have come to the same conclusions, and they all accept the same premises. And so they are hive mind. But I didn't create them as hive mind. I created them as telepathic, and everything else flowed out from there. So that's what I was going to teach in my world building seminar. Like in book 2, we meet the Atlanteans. They are from Atlantis. Sorry, they are from Atlantia, which is a planet that orbits the star Atlas. So we can see the name recognition. And they value achievement. So the achievements that you create in your lifetime, the inventions you create, give you respect. And because of that, they value that they don't, they're very individual. Like, my achievement is my achievement. You didn't do that. And so as a society, they have evolved as people who don't want outside help. I can do this on my own. I need to achieve so that I have that status. And so what that creates in their society is a society that doesn't want outside help from the other aliens. So even though, like, and from Olivia, so even though she has these abilities that they don't have, they don't want her help. They can do it on their own. But that comes from their society's personal need for achievement. They don't have money in their society. So their currency is their resume and what they have accomplished. And that creates the society that they live in. So I'm very much in my world building, take one specific trait that's going to be the most important trait for these people, and then see how that causes a society to evolve, over thousands of years to this specific point. And that makes it so much easier to create 13 different worlds. Because if you're just trying to create 13 different worlds and you don't have the mindset of these beings care about this one thing above all else, then your worlds are all going to seem very similar. And I saw a lot of that in Star Trek, for example. I love Star Trek. I love Star Trek Original. I love Star Trek The Next Generation. And
William Shatner's going to be at Fan Expo.
oh my gosh, like amazing, right? And
I met him at Chiller, and I got my picture taken with him, and I got my brother Andrew, my younger brother, an autographed picture because he watches Skittles while I'm gone. But I thought this time I'm going to get the autographed picture because he's 94 years old. So although he
yeah,
still does a lot of these though.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
You
if you
know,
want to take him a gift, I'll give you a copy of my book to take to him if you want. I think you'd enjoy it.
I would love to do that.
Anywho, yeah, like I've watched Star Trek, the original series, multiple times growing up, and then also The Next Generation. And their world building sometimes was for the purpose of making this point, and then sometimes it was just for the purpose of being a little bit different than humans. And you can tell when a world is purpose built or when it's built to be just a little bit different than humans, like when it's not really. And there's a lot of episodes where the world that they were visiting was incredibly similar, but maybe, you know, 500 years ago in human history, but the same, like, that wouldn't happen to me. You wouldn't have another planet evolving all on its own and end up exactly where humans are, but 500 years ago. Like, that would not happen. So I take a completely different mindset to world building.
There you go. There you go. That is awesome. So,
So each book is supposed to be a deep dive into a different world. And spoiler, book 3 is going to be called Journey Through the Center of the Earth. And there are beings living in the center of Hollow Earth. And they are also very different from, they are humans, but they are very different from us humans. And so that's going to be, originally I was thinking 12 books, but because I've inserted that, now it's 13.
well, here's a question. Between the first book and the second book, did you find writing the second book easier, less challenging than the first one, or
There's a whole different set of challenges. In
mhm,
writing the first book, you have to start on something really interesting. I started on the relationship between Olivia and her grandmother.
mhm.
Um, but you have to start on something interesting, and you have to reel people in quite quickly or you're going to lose them. Book 2, I had to start in a way that if you haven't read book 1 in 2 years and you pick up book 2, you need to be pulled back into the story very quickly without a whole lot of repetition. So that was my challenge for book 2, is how do I bridge it together? How do I explain where we are, who's there, what has just happened, what's the emotional temperature, and have it all be done in a way that can remind the reader of the end of book 1. And I've seen, and then also keeping the characters as they are. I'm a different person now as a writer than I was when I wrote book 1. So my characters, they're still where they were at the end of book one, even though I, as a person, as a writer, have evolved. So I need to keep my characters normal according to them, but also Olivia has learned things in book one that do change her. And book two, book one has a character arc for Olivia that sees change at the end, and for other characters. Well, book two has to have the same thing, but it can't be the same character arc. So I had to sit down and say, okay, what's Olivia's big challenge this time? What lesson is she going to learn? But I did something in book one that I'm really proud of. Olivia is given an oracle, and the oracle is a little crystal egg given to her by aliens called the Yanisma, and it's gives her missions to do. And so in book one, she has this mission that she has to complete. And then once she's completed that, the oracle changes. And we actually see that at the end of book one. The oracle tells her what she's going to have to do in book two is rescue the lost city of Atlantis, which, spoiler, and this is a fair spoiler, I tell this people all the time. In my books, the city of Atlantis is not a city. It's not a continent. It's a starship. It's a starship the size of New Brunswick that's been trapped on planet Earth for 11,000 years, and it's trapped in the Bermuda Triangle. So I'm taking all of these stories that we have of ancient mythology and lore on our planet and mashing them all together, and using those things that sound familiar to us to create my narrative. So I'm glad that Olivia has this oracle. I didn't create it with that in mind, but now every time she completes one mission, the oracle can give her a new mission, and I have an organic way to go from book one to book two to book three, that it's not like, well, she just did this, why is she onto this? She's onto this because the oracle says she has to do all these things. The oracle keeps giving her missions, so it's believable that there's just going to be action after action after action with these books. And so but each book has to have a different growth arc, a different lesson to learn. And in book two, it's about making choices. Olivia has to, the choices are hers to make, and they weigh on her shoulders, and she has to choose what's right and what's wrong when there's no clear choice as to what's right and what's wrong. You know, both sides are right. So which one does she choose? And I think that that's a really interesting conundrum. And or you know, that the idea of maybe both sides aren't right, but who decides who's right and wrong is kind of more the central question. And so there's this big decision, like who's right and who's wrong, and Olivia has to be the one to make that choice. But it's setting her up for what's going to be expected of her as the culmination of Project Human down the road. It's going to be up to her to make the choice and adjudicate, did these ones cause the conflict, or did these ones cause the conflict? Who's right and who's wrong? So it's kind of a foreshadowing of who she's supposed to become, which is also interesting to put into a book thematically.
Now, you say there's going to be 13 books. Do you know what each book is going to be about? Have you planned that far ahead?
I have some overarching arcs of what needs to happen. One of them really ties into my idea of making the series into a video game. And if you're playing a video game, you have to have like an ultimate goal that ties everything together. So I definitely know what that is. And one of the big things that she has to do is meet every culture kind of on their terms and learn their culture and understand them and understand how that contributes to who she is, because Olivia has DNA from all these different, well, from 12 different alien species. So it's on her to learn kind of what that means and how that plays into who she is. Do I know the minutia of the intrigue for every book? No. I have an outline for book 3. um, I'm the type of writer that I absolutely do an outline before I write, and then I start writing, and then the story potentially goes in a really cool direction that I hadn't thought of, and my outline has to change. So if I had outlined book 7, it would be a waste of time, because by the time I get to book 7, the way I'm going to do that has changed. So I have a knowledge, because I originally pitched this as a TV series.
Hmm.
And so I have a knowledge where it's all going to the end and the overarching of how it gets there. But in terms of the minutia, I started outlining book 3 when I was working on the second draft of book 2. I had a general idea, but I was like, oh, book 2 ends like this. And so book 3 goes like this. And so I have I would say, a draft outline of what's going on in book 2 or in book 3. And then the part that really needs to be fleshed out in that outline next is what's going on with the bad guys, because the bad guys are kind of, they're introduced in book 1 in terms of one bad guy who's in exile. And we learn in, yeah, I think we learn in book 1 that he's in exile. I mean, that was always the case, but it doesn't really matter if I had said it or not. In book 2, we really understand that he's in exile. He comes out of exile, he returns back to his people, so we get to see the bad guys. And um, book 1 is kind of a trigger warning for book 2. Like, if you haven't read book 1, there's no point in reading book 2. But if you've read book 1 and you don't like where the things are going with the bad guy, don't read book 2, because it gets worse and it gets worse and it gets worse. And that's also a consideration that I have to be mindful of when building a series, is that if I get to the penultimate of the evil of my bad guys in book 3, where do I go for 4, 5, 6? Right? So there's a certain like metering out of how evil they are, but also a withholding. So I've got like scenes written that I took out of book 2 that I'm saving either for book 3 or book 4. The scenes are excellent. They're just in the wrong book. So,
Oh,
like,
nice.
it's evolving as a series, and it's evolving the way a series should. And I think it's really important when you're doing a work that is this big, not to be set in stone, because something could happen on our planet. Like, there's this big, they say it's a comet that's coming towards, and it's going to wrap around the sun, and it's going to come close to Earth. It's not going to come anywhere near Earth, but it's going to come like within our orbit, that close to the sun. And then there's other people who are like, it's an alien spaceship. Okay, so I don't know if it's a comet or if it's an alien spaceship, but if it's an alien spaceship, and if that spaceship shows up in our sky and starts to wreak havoc, why wouldn't I be using that in my book that I'm currently writing? Do you know what I mean? Like, that would be an opportunity that I would be missing out on if I had it all planned out. So I do like to see what the temperature is for what's going on. Um, the the media control that I see, the rich, like uber rich elite. Like, I'm not talking about the billionaires. I'm talking about like the trillionaires. I don't know if they exist. I don't know. Like, but the people who are like own the media and are telling the media what to say to us. Like, you can flip through an American television, and you can go from channel to channel, and they say the exact same thing. They don't say something similar. They say the exact same line. So someone is writing that line. And when I became aware of that, I said, well, how perfect is that for me to use in my book to kind of show to my readers? Like, I can tell my readers, this is what's going on, and then it's up to them to go out and see that it's happening in the real world. So I can't plan too far ahead, if I don't know what could potentially happen that I would need to harvest, but yeah, I like to be organic in how I'm going to evolve things. I like to be relevant to what's going on right now. I haven't used like the COVID pandemic in my narrative. I have no need to do that.
No.
And I very easily could. I could go into like the War of the Worlds territory. I could be like, oh, these aliens showed up and brought a virus that's, killing off blah 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 blah. And instead of being honest about it, the government said, oh no, it came from a bat. Like I could do that, but I feel like that would be not very creative and very soapboxy and very tired. So I haven't gone there, but I do like to watch what's going on and see, who's rolling out what. And, if all of a sudden they're like trying to jam universal basic income down our throats, that will probably end up in my book in a very disparaging way, because that's taking away people's freedom. And I don't like the removal of freedom.
I agree. I agree. Well, this is awesome, you know. How's the first book been selling? How have you done at the book signings?
I do really, really well at the book signings. So I did a bunch of dates in St. John last year at Partridge Island Publishing. And when the cruise ships came in, I sold lots of books. I find I'm very good at talking about my book and talking about my characters. And I love
You're
my
very
characters.
articulate and very
And,
expressive. I think that's great talent you have.
and people get in a conversation with me about it, and they get interested, and then they buy the
Hmm.
book. So I'm very good at selling in person, which is why I was really excited to do this world building, because I'd be introducing all my different characters and all my different worlds, and people be like, oh my gosh. I felt like that would be like a really great place to sell a lot of books. And I'm upset that they've had to cancel, but I understand, like, if you've got health reasons or whatever, you do have to take care of that first. And my heart goes out to whatever the issue is. Like, I don't actually know. Um, but yeah, so Partridge Island Publishing, the people who run that was a bookstore container at the 506 area container village at the cruise ship docks in St. John. They have since gone into Market Square and opened a bookstore called the Right Cup Cafe, and their focus is local authors. So like they're in St. John, they're in Market Square, they're great. And I've got a date with them. I've got a bunch of dates coming up that again coincide with the cruise ships, because people come off the cruise ships and then they're directed to Market Square. So they're going to go there anyway. And I'm doing a signing there on August 27th, exactly 1 week from today. And yeah, I find that um, my books sell on Amazon after I do an interview like this, and people see, what's going on. They see it and they think about it and they go and they check out. So if you're looking for my book and you just want the fast way to find it, Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, look up Project Human, Bea Waters. There's another book called Project Human, so you have to make sure that you look up mine. But you'll see the cover. You'll know that you're at the wrong book if you don't see that. And but yeah, I really do like the in-person events, and I just registered myself for the Fantastic Adult Book Fair in Mahone Bay. It's either October 9th, October 10th, or October 11th. It's on the long weekend, the Thanksgiving Day weekend down in Mahone Bay. So I'm going to be doing that. And, I did the Greater Moncton Riverview Dieppe Book Fair this year. I believe that was in April. I might be getting the date wrong, but yeah, I've had a lot of fun doing these live in person. I love meeting people, and I love, and when I tell people what my story's about and they relate to it in some way, and then I get to hear their story and their experience and their take, and that just helps me learn more about humanity. And I'm just on this big giant quest to learn all about what different humans think about different things. So I really, yeah, I like doing the in-person stuff, and I thrive at that. And you were talking about your Comic-Con conventions that you go to and stuff like that. I'm interested in, hopefully, like, I know it's too late this year, but I want to get to the Halifax Comic Convention Expo next year. And there's a couple of events in Fredericton and stuff like that that I missed the enrollment this year. So I've got to make myself a list and get enrolled earlier.
Tommy Kovac thinks that you would, and I agree with him, that you'd be great at one of these conventions like that. Yeah, I've done a few. I've done I've done four horror-ramas as a smaller con in Toronto. I've done four Frightmare in the Falls, Niagara Falls. I did one Toronto Comic Con, and I've done Chiller in Parsippany, New Jersey. And I'm about to do my first fan expo, which is at the same place where the Toronto Comic Con was, but it's a much bigger convention. So they're a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, for
You know,
me, the thing is like spending, like they're also expensive to go to stay overnight, to be a vendor. So for me, doing that when I only had one book didn't seem like the thing to do. But
mhm.
once I have two books, maybe even a nonfiction title ready to go and stickers and stuff, then it makes more sense to go. I also am still just operating on cash. Like I don't have a Square or anything. So if I go
Yeah.
to an event like that and I'm not taking Square payments, I'm not going to maximize the money that I'm making. So I've really been trying to focus on just finishing a couple of titles and being able to show people that I really can write. And I'm getting that feedback now, which is really exciting that like, "Ooh, you're a really good writer." And I love, and then there's a couple people that are like, oh, what about this or what about that, or I didn't understand this. And if people read my book and they ask me questions, you can't shut me up. I love talking about it. I try not to do the spoilers that will give stuff away, but yeah, I just, the focus has been on getting the writing done and getting the first book and then the second book out there. And now I've got to kind of shift gears and get more into sales mode and but keep writing. So, yeah.
Well, you know what? It's been wonderful having you come back on here today. This is fantastic. And like I said, I'm always willing to have you on whenever you get book three on the go or in the process. I'll be more than happy to have you back on. You're always fun to chat with. I don't. It's funny, because I don't. Outside my younger brother, my supervisor, and one coworker at my overnight job, my communication with people, well, Skittles, I talk with Skittles. He sometimes answers me back, but people say there's something wrong there.
No. Our cats know. Did you know that the frequency? So I deal a lot with frequency in my books. I'm dealing a lot with frequency in my quantum physics nonfiction book. And the frequency of a cat purr has been scientifically found to heal bone and muscle tissue. So
I love the sound of cat
if you get
purring.
Skittles like laying on your shoulder and he's purring, he's like, if there's anything wrong in there, he's healing that stuff up for you. So there really is a communication between human and cat. And I'm a cat person. Like I don't hate dogs, but I was knocked down by a dog when I was little. So I'm like, I'm like, I'm a little bit hesitant around other people's dogs, especially when they're big. But my cats are the most gentle cats ever, and they just love us to bits, and we love them to bits, and they're great companions. And I totally get it.
Skittles likes to, well, I'm asleep. He will, he'll jump up on my bed and he'll walk up my leg, up my abdomen, on my chest, and he'll stare me right in the face. And I'm like, Skittles, it's not time for me to get up. Now, if I happen to have, that's if I'm having a nap, but if I have my CPAP machine in, he'll rub against that thing. And I'm like, Skittles, that's not what this is for.
Have you tried grabbing him into a snuggle and then falling back asleep?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I do with Rupert.
Sometimes.
I'll grab him into a snuggle and fall back asleep. And he knows as long as he cuddles me, he's going to get wet food later on. So he lays down, he hangs out.
I've had a few occasions, not often, but especially in the cold winter, Skills will jump up on my bed and he'll try to get under the covers.
That's
And
cute.
that's always interesting.
That's cute.
Yeah. He'll go in there and he'll go in there and turn around, curl up by my side. And I'm like, well, that's fine with me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Animals know if you have bad energy, if you have like, there's if a person can't be around animals because animals don't like that person, that tells me all I need to know. You know what I mean? Like there are people who animals don't like them, and I generally avoid those people.
Yeah. No, I love my kitty. He's over there curled up asleep, at least pretending. Yeah. Oh, gee, just stretched out.
Yeah, he knows you're talking about him. He's just ignoring you. He
He's
hears the
like,
name Skittles. He knows that's him
yeah.
as soon as he hears that name, he knows it's you.
Oh, he's lazy except when it comes to treat time. He hears the treat bag and he's got some energy.
He's on it.
Yeah, yeah. But anyways, anything else you want to plug and promote before we close off?
No, I
Let people know where they can get your book.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, my book has just been accepted at the chapters in Moncton,
Mhm.
and I'm going to be doing an in-person author signing at the chapters in Moncton on November 1st. So, if you're in the Moncton area and you want a signed copy, come see me. I will probably have the artwork for book two already ready to go by then. Don't know if I'll have book two released by then. I would love to. Um, you can get my book at Dog Eared Books in Ormocto. You can get it at the airport, the Chess Piece Cafe and Patisserie that's out at the airport has my book for sale on their shelves, both outside and inside. So, you can just pull into the parking lot, go in,
At
buy my
the
book at the
airport that
outside
I'm
cafe.
going to tomorrow?
Yes, yes, you will see my book
Wow.
in there. Yep. And you can get my book at the New Brunswick Museum. They have a Stanton Friedman exhibition, so my whole UFO theme fits in well with that. You can get it at the Muse Cafe, which is right across from Officer Square. It's available at the Quickway in Mahone Bay, Nova Scotia. It's available at Elizabeth Books in Lunenburg, Nova Scotia. And soon it will be available. There's a brand new bookstore opening up in Harvey. Well, just opened up in Harvey. And I'm taking books out to them possibly this afternoon. And there was one other. Oh, and LaHave River Books in LaHave, Nova Scotia will have my book the next time that I drive to Nova Scotia to drop them off. So there's lots of places. Oh, and the Fredericton Co-op. Oh my goodness. I forget them and I shouldn't because I love my co-op. Like I've been a co-op member since I was 8 years old. So the Fredericton Direct Charge Co-op was actually the first store to carry my book. So much love to the Fredericton Co-op. And you don't have to be a member to go in. You can go in and you can stop at the front desk. You can get like a 1 month temporary membership card, walk around the store. It's member owned, so there's no profit that goes on top of everything. So we save about 20% on our weekly grocery bill. Like my husband didn't notice it at first. And then we went to the superstore one day. We were like, I think it was Sunday night and we were too late. And we went to the superstore and he was like, oh my God, how are we paying this much for groceries? And I said, that's the co-op difference. So here I'm plugging the co-op, not just as a place to like buy my book, but they're like a really, really great store that has not just groceries, but like lots of groceries. And like I said, it's member owned. So there is no extra profit level on top of that. So you save money and the thing about saving money is that the government can't tax you on the money you save. If you were to take the money that you save and invest it in, a stock, you'd have to pay tax on the money you make from the stock. But when you invest that money in the co-op, you don't have to pay tax on the money you save. So it's a double savings. So if people are sick of paying taxes and sick of inflation, join the co-op.
Yeah, I'm sick of those things.
I mean, you have to have a car to get out there or whatever. Like that's the problem is that they don't have the city of Fredericton doesn't have bus service out to the co-op. We've been asking for it for years, and they say, well, there's not enough people living out that way. They have bus service very close to there. They have bus service all along Kimball, but they won't drive down to the co-op, which I don't know. I almost feel like the city of Fredericton is trying to hurt the co-op by not providing bus access, but that's just me and my community mindedness. Like I feel like if there's enough people at the co-op who are paying to be members at the co-op and are also paying municipal taxes, our collective voice should be heard and we should have bus service, but they haven't done
Yeah,
it yet. So
I agree. I agree. Well, before I let you go, would you mind doing a plug for my show?
absolutely. What do you want me to say?
Just say your name and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
This is Bea Waters, author of the Project Human series, and you are listening to Python's Paradise.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we got to get her at some of these bigger cons. You'll get there eventually.
Yeah. Oh,
You'll
yeah.
yes, yes.
Well, see, I'm not working a job that brings in the money, so I have to like worry about the output, right? Like if I had a job, I could take my vacation time, but then I'd be spending all my vacation time writing books. So it's a balance between the output and the input. So hopefully we can get some book sales going on, and those book sales can fuel me to get to like the Atlantic Comic Expo, and then I
Mhm.
can start branching out to the bigger ones in like Montreal and Toronto and stuff like that.
There we go. There we
Yeah.
go. Well, it was wonderful seeing you today. I like that orange background you have there, your wall.
Yeah, I have orange walls and then I have purple walls. I'm
Oh,
very,
nice. I
yeah,
like that.
very
Yeah.
colorful kind of person.
You know what? Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Nice and creative. Well, you know what? It was wonderful having you come on here today, and it's always wonderful having a local come on here, so that anybody that listens to my show, can I like being able to introduce talent from New Brunswick to other places in the world. And your last interview did quite well. So
Thanks. And one more little plug. This book still has 5 stars on Amazon. Like, how many books have 5 stars? I don't have a ton of reviews, but all of the reviews were organic. None of them are like people I know. So, yeah, go just take a look. And I mean, people spend between $7 and $10 for a latte at Starbucks. Like,
Mhm.
buy yourself a book that's going to keep you entertained. And people who have read this book twice have said that they found different stuff in it the second time through. They found stuff that they completely missed the first time around. So it's not just a book you read once, it's a book you read again. And there's a whole series coming. So,
There you
treat
go.
yourself. Treat yourself to a galactic adventure.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, B, I bid you a wonderful day, and yeah, I this was awesome. This was awesome.
Yeah. Thank you
Yeah,
for having me on again. I really, really appreciate you.
and we'll have you back again in the future. You're always welcome.
Woot woot.
Yeah. Take care.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.